14. We're starting our peripheral nervous system, and we'll go through the general and special senses, and we will start from taste and smell. First of all, let's remember what peripheral nervous system is. We have our central nervous system, brain and spinal cord, and all the neural structures outside of the brain and spinal cord, all those nerves, peripheral nerves and their ganglia, all those sensory receptors and motor endings that stimulate muscles, all of those would be a peripheral nervous system. If we look at our classification of the nervous system, special sensory receptors detect the change and carry information through the sensory division of our nervous system into the brain and spinal cord. And then spinal cord and brain will regulate our muscles through the motor division of the peripheral nervous system. So sensory and motor divisions are main in the peripheral nervous system. What is perception? Well, we will start from stimulus. Stimuli are any changes in the internal and external environment. For example, from the outside, what can you hear from the outside of your body? Sounds. You can see different images. You can touch things and feel if they're hot or cold, if they are smooth or rough. All those are external changes. Internal changes or stimuli is everything you're feeling from the inside of your body. You feel when you are hungry, when you need to go to the restroom, you feel pain. All those sensations from the inside of your body would be internal stimuli. And activation of special sensory receptor cells and the awareness of stimuli is sensation. When you feel something, see something, hear something, it is a sensation. When you already know it and you can name it, that would be a perception. It's a conscious interpretation of those stimuli. For example, you hear a sound, it's sensation. But if you know exactly what that sound it is, for example, you hear it's a car running or it's a dog barking, that would be perception. So perception is dependent on sensation. Please remember what brain areas are responsible for accepting sensations. You need to know them. For example, what would be brain area for vision? Occipital lobe. Or for hearing, it would be temporal lobe. Sensory integration. So first, receptors received those stimuli and then carried through the circuit level, our ascending pathways, into our brain. That would be perceptual level, where perception happens. Now there will be classifications, several types of classifications of our receptors. First, by structure. We have three types. Free nerve endings. Those are just dendrites of neurons and they are not covered with anything. Just simply free nerve endings. Next one, same dendrites, but they are covered with a capsule made of connective tissue that is called encapsulate nerve ending. And finally, specialized receptor cells. That is for hearing, that is for vision, like rods and cones would be special receptor cells for vision. Now, classification of receptors by location. Exteroceptors respond to any stimuli happening outside of the body. That's when we touch something, we feel pressure, pain coming from outside, temperature change when we feel hot or cold. Those are exteroceptors responsible to those stimuli. Next one, interoceptors, or they are also called visceroceptors. They feel any changes or stimuli arising from the inside of the body, our viscera, organs, or blood vessels and structures. So those would be coming from our heart, from our stomach. When stomach is stretched, we feel that we are full. Temperature changes, we feel when we are hot. Chemical changes, those are all interoceptors. Proprioceptors, they respond to changes in our muscles, tendons, joints, and ligaments. For example, proprioceptors allow us to know our body location. Doesn't matter if you're standing now or sitting or laying on a bed. If you close your eyes, you immediately know the position of every finger or toe in your body. Classification by functional receptor types. Please know those types. Receptors that respond to mechanical changes like touch, pressure, vibration, stretch, itch are called mechanoreceptors. Receptors sensitive to changes in temperature, feeling when we're hot or cold, are thermoreceptors. Photoreceptors respond to light energy. Those exist only in our eyes, and that's the receptors that help us to see. Chemoreceptors. In our nose and mouth taste, we feel the taste of food and we know what smell we are inhaling. We can detect it. Osmoreceptors respond to solid concentrations of body fluids. Those are receptors that feel change in our levels of chemicals in the blood, for example, glucose blood level or sodium blood level, different hormones levels in the blood, and so on. And finally, we have receptors that are responding to pain. And please pay attention that extreme heat or cold, like touching ice for a long time or touching hot pan, will be felt as a pain too. Now, our senses can be general or special. Special senses have their special organs. We have eyes for vision, ears for hearing, tongue for taste, nose for smell. Ears also work for sense of balance. All other senses will be general senses, and their receptors are distributed throughout the body, from the outside in the skin and inside of deep organs and structures. Examples: in the skin we have mechanoreceptors to feel touch. In our muscles we have proprioceptors, they feel body movement. Or we have visceral receptors that feel what happens with our organs. Sensory adaptation is a process when our receptors adjust to the stimulus, change their sensitivity. For example, light. If you are in a dark room and somebody turns on light, you feel at first it just hurts your eyes, but in a few minutes you will adjust. The same happens with smell, for example. If you walk in the kitchen where somebody is cooking food, first you smell that smell of food, but in a few minutes you will adjust to it and you will stop paying attention to that smell.